So I get a knock at my door. Two gals from the neighborhood, Misha and Annie, and they're going around and they're selling, they've got these jars of marshmallow fluff. Now, I must tell you, I don't eat a lot of marshmallows and I've got nothing against them. But for me and my involvement in marshmallows was twofold. One, in cocoa. As a little kid in cocoa, my sister and I loved them, particularly when they were the small marshmallows, right? But my parents only bought the big ones. We would use those. We'd put a coat hanger through it. We had a wood burning fireplace. And on a lucky occasion, my sister and I would get to roast marshmallows. They didn't taste great, but it was a great experience and a great memory. None of that is the point. These girls show up with marshmallow fluff. Now, here is what bothered me, all right? They've got a box of them. They've got them in a little red wagon. They're pulling them through the neighborhood. Where I live is halfway through the neighborhood. I have no reasonable belief that they started at my door. It would seem as though you would start at the bottom and eventually get to me, or you would start at the top and eventually get to me. But these girls still had a full wagon. Does that mean that my neighbors weren't buying the marshmallow fluff? Because that would irritate me beyond belief. Okay, if two young entrepreneurs show up at your door, both, I'm going to guess, under high school age, somewhere in that 6th to 9th grade range, they've started a business and they have this beautiful homemade product that they only want a couple of dollars for. Were some of my neighbors telling them no? Does it matter what they're selling at that point? What do you do? Annie and Misha knock at your door and they would like to sell you something, but by the way, they made from home. Oh, and should I add, they're in your community. What do you do? If you have any answer other than you say, excuse me, hold on, ladies, let me go grab my wallet, you and I just aren't the same kind of people, right? There's something about a level of rejection that if you do to somebody else in this situation, I'm going to have a little bit of a problem with. And I parlay this into Islam Makhachev. Is he being punished because Khabib didn't come back and fight? I'm asking a question. Something's going on there. Khabib is giving the blessing to Islam, who, by the way, is undefeated. If I'm wrong about that, Islam picked up a loss somewhere later in his career. Somewhere in the back of my head, he's like 16-1. But if I'm wrong, he's 16-0. Either way, it's a beautiful record, and he has a blessing of the guy, the man, the biggest star Muslim athlete in the world, who they've built an arena for somewhere in his past. Could you imagine being so successful that anybody anywhere builds you an arena? You guys remember what I'm talking about? Khabib versus Poirier was done in an arena that they built for Khabib versus Poirier. This guy is wildly popular. Why is he not powerful? What is it about it where when the guy gives a blessing to another guy, and by the way, I bring in Islam's record, it's relevant. If he was just some new up-and-comer, if he was on the regional scene, or he just came through the Contender Series, or is a current contestant on Tough, hey, keep your eye on him type thing, I got no problem with it. Islam's been here for a period of time. Oh, and by the way, hasn't gotten beat by a period of time. Why is the blessing from Khabib not more powerful? I don't have an answer to that. Khabib is doing his part. Khabib is showing loyalty. Khabib came out with a statement and said about Islam that he would stop Poirier and he would maul Oliveira. Those are tremendous compliments. He's not just saying he thinks his guy will win. He's talking about in dominant fashion. Now, as good as that is, I must tell you, no, Khabib isn't being punished. I'm asking a rhetorical question. I already know the answer to it. Of course, Khabib is respected. And of course, Khabib has a level of power. Khabib is coming about this slightly at the wrong angle. He's talking about how good Islam is. That's helpful if a guy is undiscovered. Islam is now discovered. But I'm not sure Khabib himself knows how Khabib himself got to the top of the billion or ever got a title fight or was ever standing opposite Conor McGregor. It wasn't just by wins and losses. No matter how many times your bosses come out and tell you it is, it's not. They're not going to come out and tell you what it really is. They're going to expect you to know and figure out on your own, are you interesting? And Islam has not got over yet is interesting. I don't know what Islam's hobby is. I don't have the foggiest idea. I don't know what his favorite food is. I don't know what his favorite movie is. I don't know who his favorite comedian is. I don't know what kind of music he listens to. I don't know what his favorite color is. I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he's single. I don't know if he has pets. I don't know what he used to do before fighting. I don't know if his father's involved. I don't know a damn thing about him. And that's not my fault. I read everything on Islam Makhachev I can get. I can't get any of that stuff. Every time I hear something about Islam, I have to hear about how damn good he is. Let's just do this, Islam. I accept that you're good. You have a beautiful record where you either have one loss or you have absolutely no losses, and you're in the division that I personally believe to be the hardest division in all of MMA and in the history of MMA. Let's concede right now you're really good. I don't need to just watch good guys. I don't. There's good guys on before you and after you and this week, next week, last week. They're all really good, in fairness. Why are you interesting? Why do I care if you beat Charles Oliveira? Charles Oliveira wins money in the sport and takes it back to the favelas in Brazil, of which he never left. Charles Oliveira comes out, hard opponents, struggles to make weight, sometimes does, sometimes doesn't, sometimes gets beat, sometimes has victory, changes his hair, puts on sunglasses, sometimes he wears readers. I don't love that he changes his look all the time, but I can tell you all of those things about Charles Oliveira. I cannot tell you anything about Islam. I don't know where he lives. I don't know who he trains with. I know that's part of a team, but Javier Mendez was training that team part of the time, and Khabib's dad was part of the time, and they were splitting time between California and splitting time between Dagestan. I'm just sharing with you, I don't know any of these things. I know as it pertains to Dustin Poirier. I know where he's from. I know that Lafayette, Louisiana is very important to him. I know that he trains out of the ATT in Florida. I know that's very important to him. I know he came up through the regional scene. I know he's won some fights. I know that he's lost some fights. I know he's got big dreams. I know he's got a charity. I know he's got some gimmick going with this hot sauce thing. I know when I text him, I hear back from him within minutes. I don't know a damn thing about Islam. And it's not my fault. It's not because I haven't given him a fair shake or that I will continue to. I will talk to you guys about Islam nonstop. I will talk to you about Islam just out of my relationship with Ali. I just don't have anything to talk to you about. Because everywhere I go where I try to find something about Islam, all I ever hear is what a damn good fighter he is, but I've never disputed that. He's not in the let's see fighting championships. He's not in the let's have fun fighting championships. He's not the I'm a tough guy fighting championships. He's not the I got more tattoos than you do, I must be a badass championships. He's in the ultimate fighting championship. So I know that he's really good. That's not enough for me. Demetrius Johnson's into video games, and Chad Mendes is into hunting and fishing, and Stipe Miocic is a fireman, and Daniel Cormier coaches a wrestling team called Glory. I don't know anything about Islam. I don't know anything about Islam. I want to. I'm not a hater. I'm a believer. I like it. I like his willingness. I like that he's told us what he wants. But even when it comes to him telling us what he wants, I'm hearing about it from other people. Islam called me right now, he'd have to say, Chael, this is Islam Makhachev. I wouldn't know his voice. I wouldn't recognize it. When he comes out and does these interviews, he says next to nothing. And whatever it is, it's not interesting. I don't submit for you that he's a boring guy. My guess is he's probably a hell of a guy. Khabib is a pretty interesting guy to be around. He's a pretty fun guy to be around. Khabib come out and say these things about Islam. They probably had some great experiences together. They probably got on some trips together. Maybe they did something outdoors together at Camp. I just like to hear about it. I'd like to hear about anything other than how good a guy is who's not yet to lose in the division that I believe is the hardest division out there, because I already know. I want to hear something about him. I want to hear why this matters to him. I want to hear how he got into it in the first place. I want to hear about his relationship with Khabib. Khabib is willing to lend his name. You're not doing anything wrong. Go and participate on that. Talk about what this means to you. Talk about how important this is to Khabib, to the legacy of the Nurmagomedov family, that you represent them well. That's a compelling story. Is it true? I'd love to find out. Tell me, Islam.